Hey freaks, it's JJ Kai Morris here. Welcome to my channel where I just am a person on the internet who writes, and I am sharing my writing journey with all of you. So hopefully we can learn and grow together. Anyway, so I'm sorry for the title of this video, which may seem a little bit misleading and also a little bit braggy too. I don't mean it to sound braggy. I did write a novel in 2 months while working full time, but the point is not for me to just tell you, like, brag about what I did. It's hopefully to inspire you and show you that it is possible to accomplish these things, you know, if you really set your mind to it. So, yes, I hope I don't come off as, like, just, like, a braggy asshole, but whatever. Let me know if I'm being an asshole. Anyway. I finished a book in 2 months, and I'm really excited. So, doing this video because I started writing May 1st, and I finished June 30th. And so now I'm in the stages of, like, letting the manuscript breathe, and I just kind of want to talk about some things with you guys as far as, like, how, like, the schedule I put together for getting all of this done, and you know, the things I've learned from it, and, you know, and basically just share with you guys my experience in, like, sprint writing a book. And so, yeah, let's start with some, like, qualifying statements. I wrote the book in 2 months, but I did spend a whole month outlining. So maybe you might want to count the month I spent outlining as, like, time spent writing. I'm not counting it because I didn't actually, like, put words, like, I didn't put prose to page during the outlining phase. It was all, like, just bullet point stuff. Like, I went through and went through and outlined every single chapter and all the things that were going to happen, but I didn't actually write any like prose that ended up in the book. So I'm not counting the month I spent outlining as writing time, but maybe I should. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think I should count that time that I spent outlining. Anyway, the book I wrote is roughly 80,000 words. It's pretty short. It's nothing too long and crazy. It is a dark fantasy young adult novel. My first young adult novel that I've written, and I'm really excited about it. So I am letting the manuscript breathe. They say you should always, like, not touch your manuscript after you finish the first draft of it, and kind of, like, give it at least a month before you look at it again. And I'm really glad that I received that advice, because I feel like it's really, really helpful. It's like if you're painting a picture and you're, like, this close to it and you're getting all the, like, nice details in, which is great, but you're not going to be able to get the right perspective until you take a few steps back. So this is kind of like the writer version of taking a few steps back from your work and coming back to it later to look at it with a more objective eye. And I think that is really helpful, because over this past, it's been about a month now since I put the last word down, and it's given me some time to work on some other projects, as well as just get a lot of reading done, and giving me time to think about the storyline and think about changes that I want to make. So already I have, like, just scribbled, like, on random pieces of paper in places, like, things that I know I need to change and things I know need improvement. Basically what I started off doing was just, like, writing down all the things that were wrong with the manuscript that I knew at the time. I was like, there's something wrong with this character is just not quite there, but I don't know what's wrong with her yet. Or this scene is not working, the ending is just not quite as satisfying as I want it to be. And I knew that was a problem, like, even, like, while I was writing, I'm like, this isn't perfect yet, it needs something else, it needs more, or it needs a change. But I just wrote it anyway, and so that's just things that I've been going through the past month, like, things that I know are not good enough yet. And so that's, coming up with that list is good, and then I'm taking 6 weeks away from the manuscript. So next week I'm planning on getting all my notes together and planning what I'm going to do in the revision, and then the week after that I'm going to start my revision. So, yeah, so I think it's really good to not look at your manuscript after you finish it for a good little while, and then just come up with some revision notes that you know you want to do. So, going to talk about, like, my plans for the future for this book, but I want to start off telling you guys how I got to this point, what my schedule was like to write a book in 2 months. While working full-time and having other things going on. So I do work a full-time job, which is 9 to 5 Monday through Thursday, and then 1 p.m. till 9 p.m. on Fridays. So that's almost a typical schedule, except for the Friday part is a little bit different than most people's schedule. I also have other hobbies. You know, I have this YouTube channel, and I have a few other hobbies that I do as well. and I also have a family. So my time is very limited, and so the way that I worked out this was I knew I wanted to finish this book in 2 months, and so I came up with like a really detailed like spreadsheet of like how many words I needed to write per day. So like on average, if I were to average it all out, 80,000 words in 2 months is roughly 1,400 words a day. And now most people don't really have the time to write 1,400 words a day, and I also didn't as well. So what I did is I wrote about 1,000 words a day Monday through Thursday, and then like 2,000 words on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So my schedule kind of goes like this. I wake up at 4:45 in the morning. I am a morning person, so it sometimes is tough, but usually it's, once you get into the swing of it, it's not too bad. I wake up at 4:45, feed the dogs, make some tea, and then I start writing, get settled in, and then I start writing from 5 until 7 a.m. And then at 7, I gotta get ready for work, and then go to work all day, come home, and kind of like my agreement with my family is that I don't write, when I get home from work, unless everyone is gone doing other things, and I'm just kind of like home alone, able to do whatever I want. And then sometimes I'll be able to get a little bit of writing done. But there weren't too many of those type of days during this stretch. So basically, yeah, I would get 2 hours in the morning, and I can usually average about 500 words an hour. So I could typically get my 1,000 words down in the mornings. If I was short, I would then spend my lunch break writing sometimes. So if I only made it to like 700 words, I would just get those last 300 words down during my lunch break at work. And so, yeah, or sometimes if I was just really on a roll and I was excited about writing, I would just surpass my goal for the day and write during lunch or something. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I have my mornings open, so I would spend a good like 4 hours writing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'd get about 2,000 words done each of those days. And so that was pretty much, give or take. I wasn't exact with these numbers. Some weeks I surpassed the goal, some weeks I didn't quite make the goal, but I made it up on other weeks, and so I was a little bit flexible. I just knew that I wanted to get it done by the end of June, and so yeah, I think just sticking to a schedule for me really, really helped, and also getting up early in the mornings, because for me at least, like by the time I get home from work, my brain is kind of like worthless. I'm just tired and like mentally fatigued, and sometimes physically fatigued, depending on what I was doing that day. So yeah, I think the first thing in the morning really works for me, even though it does take a little while to like get into like the writing mindset. Sometimes that first half hour words are just really slow, but then it starts to speed up by the end of the second hour. So yeah, that's what I did. I'm sorry if you're not a morning person, but you might want to give it a try. I don't know. So yeah, if you want to average that out, I spent about 20 hours a week writing for 2 months. And I know a lot of you probably don't have 20 hours a week to write, but I think if you squeeze writing into like the little tiny like areas in your day where you don't have anything going on, you might be able to get a lot of more work done than you were expecting to do. And I know a lot of writers who have a hard time with distractions. I think I'm fairly fortunate in that I don't have as much of a hard time with distractions. Obviously, it's definitely a lot easier to write in silence than it is when the TV's on. But I can kind of I will get interrupted a lot while writing, but I'm usually able to go right back into it. And I think that's sort of maybe a skill that came over time as well. And so I think setting a goal for yourself really works. It did for me, and being realistic about your goal also works, I think, because I was fortunate enough that I had the time to dedicate to doing this, and I think because it was such a shorter period of time, it wasn't like I'm gonna write 20,000 words a week for like 6 months. It was only 2 months, and I think that was the right amount of time for me. Definitely by the end of that 8th week, I was feeling tired. I was feeling a little bit burned out, but I was able to push through that. Yeah, hopefully maybe that's inspiration for some of you to, do the things that you want to do. So, and as far as my plans for this book goes, I do plan to try and query it and try and get it traditionally published. I'm not holding my breath on getting it traditionally published. I know that is really hard for a debut author to break out and get published by, one of the big 5 publishing houses. it's really difficult, and I know it takes a lot of luck as well as talent, and so I'm not holding my breath on it, but I do want to get that traditional publishing experience. I don't feel like I feel like getting rejected from publishers and agents is just kind of like a rite of passage for writers, and I want that rite of passage. I haven't gotten enough rejection yet, so I want to query. I want that, query trench experience, and I want to know what it's like. And also, like, I feel like if I were to just jump straight to self-publishing, I feel like I'd always think in the back of my mind, oh, like, well, what if I could have gotten it traditionally published and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to have those, like, what ifs. I think I'm going to definitely try and traditionally publish it. If it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be heartbroken. I'm going to be okay if it doesn't work out. And maybe this isn't just the right book for me to break out, or it's not good enough. And that's something that is hard pill to swallow, but I think I'm coming to terms with the fact that, maybe this isn't the book, which is fine. And maybe the book after that's also not the book either. Maybe the one after that or the one after that. I think I'm trying to keep my expectations low while also having a lot of confidence in my work as well. That's kind of a weird line to follow, I think. Planning on trying to get it traditionally published, but it has a long, long way to go before that. So before trying to query it, I am giving it, like I said, that long break in between where I'm not looking at it for a little while. I'm about to go back and start revisions. My plan is to finish revision in about 6 or 7 weeks. I know it needs a lot of work, and so I already have a lot of plans on how to, fix things up and make it better. So after that, maybe by October, hopefully I will have it ready for my beta readers, and I'll be sending it out to all my beta readers, and then also doing some beta reading in exchange for all those beta readers as well. So October will probably be filled with reading different people's manuscripts and giving feedback on it. So, that's my plan for October. And then by November, I will, work in all the edits from my beta readers and all the feedback that I get. So November will be more revision, probably on draft 3. And then December, I will be crafting my query letters and also working on my final revision, probably draft 4, which is just cleaning up everything, making it look nice, making sure I have the right grammar and punctuation, and, making sure the prose is nice but not too fancy, and making sure the storyline is really, really there. So hopefully my goal is by January of 2022, I will be sending out my query letters, and, hopefully maybe sometime in 2022, I'll see how it goes. I'll see if, what the response is, if it's something that's close to being published, if something that could be published, or if it's something that's like miles away from ever being published. I'll try and keep you guys updated on that. But I also wanted to share with you guys some of the things I've learned from writing a book in like this short stretch of time. So what I've learned from this experience is, number one, that I can do it. So that's the main thing that I learned from this. I think just being able to accomplish it is something that is just a huge milestone for me. I think knowing that I can crack down and get something done in 2 months, that I can just do it. And then if I were to ever, not be working full time and dedicate all my time to writing, I think I've proven that I can, get shit done, I guess, that I can put the words down and I can get a finished product, in a short amount of time. So that's the one thing that I learned that was probably the best thing that I learned, is that I can do it, first of all. The second thing is that I really love writing. Though it was definitely hard at times to, get up early and to try and write, it's fucking 4:45 in the morning, and I'm trying to write things and make it good. That was a struggle, obviously, because that's something hard. But once I got into the swing of things, once I got used to it, I really realized how much I loved it. I would get I would be excited when I woke up in the morning, because I was looking forward to that next scene that I was going to write. I was looking forward to getting that done, getting that on the page, and seeing how it turned out. So if anything, it kind of reassured me towards, this career, this hopeful dream that I have, is sometimes when you have a dream and you're like, yeah, I really like doing this, but then you do it a lot and you realize that it's maybe not something you loved as much as you thought. Definitely had that before. But I think I was pleasantly surprised to find that I actually really do love writing as much as I thought I did. The next thing I learned is that you cannot possibly prepare for everything in your outline. So like I said, I spent a whole month outlining my book. And I went into detail, and, I tried to get as much detail and specifics down as I could in that outline, like exactly what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. But there was also things that I ended up changing and things that I realized I hadn't thought about in the outline. And so I think for me, like, I don't know, maybe it's just my lack of experience, but I was like, man, I didn't even think about this during the outline. Now I have to sit here for 20 minutes and just not write anything because I'm thinking of how to come up with how this next thing is going to happen, or maybe having to go back the previous day and rewrite what you wrote the day before because you realize that you thought of a better way to get there or a better, thing to do. So I learned that outlines are great, and I definitely would not have gotten this done in 2 months if I didn't have an outline. Or I would have, but it would have been terrible. So, yeah, outlines are great, but for me, I can't possibly think of everything in the outline. And once you get writing, I think a lot of the times you can't prepare for the decisions that you're going to make that will alter certain things and change certain things that end up straying from the outline. The next thing I learned is that I need a break after writing for 2 months straight, 20 hours a week. Not necessarily because of the writing. I think it was just because of, again, like I had a lot to do, waking up 4:45 and then, just being busy my entire day until I went to sleep, basically. I was getting close to burning out, definitely, by the end of this, end of the 2 months. And actually, like, immediately after the end of the 2 months, I ended up writing for another 2 weeks because I had another writing project that I wanted to get done. So it was more like 10 weeks of like writing every day, every morning. And so by that time I was just so burned out. I was like, I need a vacation, which I thankfully went on. And I think that for me is helpful to kind of like refresh, is like taking a break from writing for just like a short amount of time. I know some people say like, don't take a break because then it takes so long to get your wheels turning again. Which for me, I think that like the schedule that I have, like I still wake up at 4:45 every morning, just to keep that schedule going. I read in the mornings. If I'm not writing, I read. So that's been something that's been, I think, not going to help me continue to write after I've taken a little bit of a writing break. But yes. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys some of the things I've learned. I'm so excited to keep you guys updated about how this book goes. It has the working title of The Trials of the Haunted. So it's I don't know if I'm sold on that title yet, but it is hopefully going to be part of a trilogy. I do have plans for it to be a trilogy if I ever end up writing the other 2 books. I don't want to tell you guys too much about the story because I hopefully want to publish it, so I don't want any spoilers. But yes, I will definitely let you guys know how it turns out. As far as like my next check-in will probably be when I do the revision, and when I finish my revision, see how that goes. I'm excited. I'm glad that this won't be my first revision on a novel. My first novel that I wrote, I did spend like 3 months revising that novel and making it a lot better. Which it was a lot better, but it still wasn't quite good enough in my opinion. But I'm glad that I had the experience of doing a revision so that I know what to expect and kind of how that goes. Hopefully this revision won't be as extensive as the one I did to my first novel, because I basically went back and rewrote the entire novel during the revision. But for this book, hopefully I won't have to do quite as much work, and things will go pretty smoothly, and I'll be able to finish it in like 7 weeks. At least that's the goal. I'm going to try and be a little bit more flexible on my goals. Basically just not putting too much pressure on myself and just having more of like an end of the year goal instead of like a daily or like a weekly goal. Just, because life is crazy. Things happen. But yeah, I don't want this video to sound like, if you can't write 20 hours a week, then you're like terrible writer or something. That's just what has been able to work for me for right now. I know, in maybe next year that won't be the case, or the year after that, or even in a few months maybe that won't be the case, because you never know what's going to happen in life. But I think that if any amount of time that you can spend writing is a good thing, and I think forcing yourself to write sometimes is a good thing. I know if you just really don't feel like it, it can really take the fun out of it, but at the same time, it's so gratifying to get something done, and that satisfaction at accomplishing, those little goals each day, I think is what kept me going on those days when I didn't want to write. Was like, okay, well, look how far I've come, and I've already, Monday I didn't feel like writing, but I did it, and look what I have something that is good and decent. And so, on the next day that came around, I was like, oh, I don't want to write today, but, I didn't want to write 2 days ago, so, and I did it, and look what came out of it. So it's I think you can kind of motivate yourself by your own writing, which is kind of weird, because sometimes I will wake up one morning and I'll be like, what I wrote yesterday was just absolute garbage. I can't keep any of it. But then I'd go back and read it, and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad. It's okay. I can maybe edit it a little bit, and now, oh, look, now it's okay. Now it's good, at least for now, And so one of the other things I learned from this experience is like not being too hard on my prose and just getting the words out. I think when I wrote my first couple of books, it was really hard for me because I was so painstakingly tedious about every word has to be poetic and beautiful, whereas I think writing in the young adult genre has helped free me a little bit of that, and people have told me that my prose gets a little too purple, and so that's something that I've been trying to combat. And so I think writing really fast, not physically fast, but writing in such a short amount of time and getting something done, and also not worrying too much about how beautiful my prose is, has really helped me be able to get this project done, and it's actually helped me really enjoy writing a lot more too. So that's also something that I want to share with you guys, is maybe don't worry so much about the exact words that you use. Try and make it as good as you can there on the spot. Do your best, but then also realize it's the first draft, and it's going to have many, many drafts before anyone important is going to read it. So, and it's going to have at least one more draft before anyone else is going to read it, depending on how you work your drafts and stuff. My husband and my sister really want to read this first draft of my book. They're really excited for it, but I'm like, nope. It's not ready. It's not readable yet. It has some good parts. It has definitely good potential, but it needs one really good revision before even my alpha readers can read it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with my life. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I know this video is kind of long. I don't know if I'll keep it all. Anyway, hope you guys are having a good summer, and let me know down in the comments what you guys think of writing in a short sprint type writing scenario, or if you're more a relaxed, I like to take my time writing, or if schedules and things like that really take the fun out of it or the art out of it for you. Let me know how your brain works. I always think it's so interesting how different writer brains work. How some people are plotters, and some people are pantsers, and some people can only work this way versus that way. So I think it's always very interesting to know. Also, if you guys want to join my reader list, I'll go down to the link in the description and sign up for my newsletter. I send out a newsletter every month, just keeping you updated on things, and also sending out some random fun stuff, book reviews, whatever-ness. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit subscribe if you want to get notified when I put out other content such as this, and thanks for watching.